Nobody warns you about this part. Everyone shows you the highlight reel. The Ferrari, the penthouse, the business class tickets, the fake smile photos in front of a private jet. But nobody sits you down and tells you what you quietly hand over, one piece at a time, on the long, grinding road to building real wealth. And by the time most people figure it out, they've already lost things they can never get back. Let's talk about what actually happens when you decide to get serious about money. The first thing you lose is time. And I don't mean this in some vague philosophical way. I mean you will literally watch people your age going to concerts, taking spontaneous trips, spending their weekends doing absolutely nothing productive, and you will be working. You'll be building something when everyone else is relaxing. There's this guy named Marcus who started his e-commerce business at 24. While his college friends were at rooftop parties on Friday nights, Marcus was packaging orders in a spare bedroom. While they were sleeping in on Saturdays, he was on calls with suppliers in different time zones. 5 years later, Marcus crossed his first million. But those 5 years, they're gone. He'll never get those specific Friday nights back. That's not a complaint, that's just the truth. Time is the first currency you spend, and you spend it before you even know its real value. The second thing you lose are certain friendships. This one hurts more than people admit. When you start thinking differently about money, when you stop impulse buying, when you start saying no to expensive group dinners that make no financial sense, when you'd rather invest that $200 than spend it on a night out, some people around you will feel judged. They won't say it directly, but slowly the invitations stop coming. The group chat gets quieter for you. You'll have friends who start calling you boring or cheap or too serious. And here's the painful truth. Some of those friendships were built on shared spending habits, not genuine connection. The moment you change your financial behavior, you reveal which relationships had real depth and which ones were just convenience. Losing those friendships stings in the moment, but what replaces them, connections with people who actually think about building a future, is incomparably more valuable. Third thing you lose? Your comfort zone. And this one people completely underestimate. Getting rich is not comfortable. It is deeply, consistently uncomfortable. You'll have to have conversations that terrify you, negotiating your salary, pitching your idea to strangers, asking for money, saying no to people you love, admitting you made a financial mistake, and starting over. There's this concept in psychology called the valley of discomfort, the space between where you are and where you want to be. Most people look at that valley and turn back. They choose the familiar paycheck, the familiar routine, the familiar smallness of a life that never stretches them. The people who build wealth learn to live in that valley. They stop waiting for the discomfort to disappear and start moving forward while it's still uncomfortable. That shift alone separates the people who think about wealth from the people who actually build it. The fourth thing you lose is the luxury of ignorance. Before you start learning about money, you can comfortably ignore things like interest rates, inflation, tax brackets, asset allocation, and compound growth. Ignorance is genuinely blissful when you don't understand how badly it's costing you. But once you truly understand that keeping your savings in a regular bank account is actually losing you money in real terms every single year because inflation is eating it alive, you cannot unknow that. You cannot go back to being comfortable with financial mediocrity. And that can feel like a burden because now you feel the weight of every bad financial decision, every missed opportunity, every dollar sitting idle when it should be working for you. That awareness can be exhausting, but it is also the exact thing that separates the financially awake from the financially asleep. Now here's where it gets really interesting, and most financial content will never tell you this part. The fifth thing you lose on the way to getting rich is other people's approval. And for a lot of people, this is the heaviest thing to put down, because we are wired, deeply, neurologically wired, to seek approval from the people around us. And wealth building often requires you to make decisions that look wrong from the outside. Buying a used car when you can technically afford a new one. Living in a modest apartment while your income grows. Skipping the expensive vacation. Reinvesting your profits instead of celebrating with a big purchase. From the outside, these decisions look like failure, like you're not doing well, like you're being cheap or scared or boring. But the silent millionaire doesn't care what the loud broke person thinks. The person who drives a 5-year-old car and owns 3 income-producing assets does not need your validation. And the moment you truly internalize that, the moment you stop making financial decisions based on how they'll look to other people, everything changes. Your money starts growing because it's finally working for you instead of performing for an audience. The 6th loss is the hardest one to talk about. You will lose a version of yourself. The person who gets rich is not the same person who started the journey, and sometimes that can feel disorienting. Your priorities shift. Your tolerance for wasteful spending drops. Your patience for shallow conversations shrinks. Your relationship with leisure changes. Even rest starts to feel intentional rather than accidental. Some people find this deeply unsettling. They feel like they've become too serious or that they've lost their spontaneity. But here's how I want you to reframe that. You haven't lost yourself. You've shed the version of yourself that was built by default, shaped by habits you never chose, by a consumer culture that profits from your financial ignorance. The person emerging on the other side of this journey is the person you were always capable of being. More intentional, more aware, more free. Not in the fake social media sense, but genuinely free in the way that only comes when money is no longer your source of anxiety. So why does any of this matter? Because too many people start the wealth building journey expecting it to feel good the whole way through. They expect motivation to be constant, progress to be visible, and sacrifice to be temporary. And when the discomfort hits, when the friendships shift and the approval disappears, and the time investment feels enormous, they think something is wrong. They think they're doing it incorrectly. They quit right before the compound effect kicks in. They walk away from their own future because nobody told them that the losses were part of the process, not signs that the process is broken. The road to real wealth is not a clean, straight highway. It's a series of trades. You trade comfort for capability. You trade shallow approval for genuine self-respect. You trade certain friendships for better ones. You trade the short-term pleasures of spending for the long-term peace of financial security. And not everyone is willing to make those trades. That's why financial freedom is rare. Not because the information is secret. The information is everywhere. But because most people are not willing to lose the things you have to lose to get there. But here's what you gain on the other side. You gain options. And options are the real definition of wealth. Not a specific number in your bank account, not a car or a house or a status symbol. Options. The option to say no to a job that's killing you. The option to take care of a sick parent without financial panic. The option to build something of your own without begging for permission. The option to give generously without calculating whether you can afford to. That's what you're actually working toward, and that's worth every uncomfortable, approval-free, time-invested moment of the journey. So here's the question I want to leave you with today. Of all the things we talked about, time, friendships, comfort, approval, ignorance, identity, which one do you think is the hardest thing to lose on the way to building real wealth? Drop your answer in the comments right now because I genuinely want to know where you are in this journey. Your answer might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. And if this video made you see your financial journey differently, you already know what to do. Join the Money Mentor community, and let's keep building something real together.